Erev Tov, good evening, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We gather this little drizzle for this Shabbat, but that's good luck, right? That we're able to be together in the sanctuary online celebrating Shabbat together. We're going to be using Mishkan Tefillah, which if you're online you can find on our website and on our YouTube channel. And if you're here in the sanctuary, you should be able to find in your hand, or at least within arm's reach. We're going to continue on page 10. As we join in singing Hine Matov, how good, how sweet it is that we are celebrating Shabbat together.
Hine Matov u'anayim Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'anayim Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matov יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה יאללה יאללה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה יאללה יאללה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
And we're going to continue by turning to the back of our prayer books to page 344 as we join in singing Shira Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Sing unto God a new song.
Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash.
We turn back to page 2 in our prayer books as we join in the blessing of our Sabbath lights. If you have not yet lit your Shabbat candles at home, I invite you to do so as we join together with our cantor again on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadik
Shabbat comes to us like a bride, like a queen, and so we welcome her into our lives as we sing Lecha Dodi on page 20, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, rising to greet the Sabbath bride on the last verse. Again, page 20 for Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat,
Let's turn to page 27. Page 27, and let's read together in the middle of the page. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routines set my ways. Chatzi Kaddish is on the facing page.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא יברח ירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו. אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולם מעלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח יתפאר ותרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתהלל שמי קודשם בריחו לעילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה.
תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא
וימרו.
אמן.
Am I away
We can be seated and let's continue on page 30 in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mishaneh itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or umavir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzavaot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Top of 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We rise for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vayed.
We can be seated and we'll continue with the chanting of the Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anachim etzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to go from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Ya baba bim bere bam, ya baba bim bam, ya baba bim bere bam, ya baba bim bam. Ay 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 ay, ya baba ba bim bam. Ay 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 ba 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 bim bam. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Narati lo dosefele. Narati lo dosefele. Lechutecha ra'u banecha. Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Eli anu v'yamru. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Yabai ba bim bidi bam, yabai ba bim bam, yabai ba bim bidi bam, yabai ba bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yabai ba bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yabai ba bim bam. V'ne'emar ki fara'alna et Yaakov u'ge'elam yad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ka'al Yisrael.
Amen. On page 42, we give thanks for the night and its rest and the promise of peace that it brings.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu leChayim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu leChayim. Ufrus aleinu sukkot shlomecha. U'shmor tziteinu vo'enu. Ufrus aleinu sukkot shlomecha. U'shmor tziteinu vo'enu. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu leChayim. Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Page 44.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Physically, spiritually, we rise for the Amidah, Adonai Sfatai on 46, Avot V'Imahot on 48.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, Bezacher Chasei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Samech noflim verofei cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, U'mido melach, Melech meimit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We may be seated. All readings from this point forward will be at the top of the odd-numbered pages. Top of the odd-numbered pages. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you. In this land, in Sion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, Shotcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki Adon Melech Adon, Echo HaShalom. Ki Adon Melech Adon, Echo HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim
We turn to page 253 in our prayer books, and we turn in our hearts to those who we know are in need of healing, the healing of body, the healing of spirit. We think of Mara Tartak this evening, and I know each of us has someone in our hearts that we are thinking of who is in need of healing. If you are participating online through YouTube or Facebook, I invite you to share the name of your loved one who is in need of a healing of body and spirit at this time. And if you're in the sanctuary, I invite you to share that name as my eyes meet yours. For all those we mention out loud, for all those we mention in our hearts together, we pray for healing.
Go
physically, spiritually, we rise at this time for our Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our service for the reading of Torah. You're confusing me, Cantor. I'm wondering,
Sorry.
what am I missing? Oh my gosh. What disappeared into there? Nothing disappeared into there. We're in Parashat Matot Maseh. Actually, we're going to be specifically in Maseh. It's a double portion as we conclude the book of Numbers, but we're going to be focused on the beginning of the second portion. Parashat Maseh, Numbers 33, beginning with verse 1. If you're in the sanctuary and you have Herr Dr. Professor Rabbeinu Plaut's commentary, that will be on page 1119. And if you're like, I don't have it, it wasn't put in front of me, if you turn behind you, in the slot in the pew behind you, there should be a copy there. And if you're following along online, it's or you just have the, Parshiot memorized, it's Numbers 33, beginning with verse 1. These last couple of chapters of the end of Numbers are fairly tedious, at least on first read. As both Rabbi Shai Held comments in his book, The Heart of Torah, and as pretty much anybody who's ever read the Bible all the way through comments at one point or another. It is, this chapter in particular, almost the perfect stereotype of a boring chapter of the Bible. It is almost, it's not the one that they used in The Simpsons with Larry King reading it, putting Homer Simpson to sleep. It's not that one, but it is as close as you're going to get. It is a seeming laundry list of various places the Israelites journeyed with all the names of their encampments and so forth and their 40 years in the wilderness. Why spend so much ink on this topic, on all of these places? What is the point of this text? Especially when we're going to get Deuteronomy starting next week, and it's going to be a whole recapitulation of the journey in the wilderness anyway. Our traditional commentaries don't agree. They don't have any sense of agreement on what this text is about. Rashi, our favorite medieval Frenchman, tells us that this text is to make known all the places where God shared God's love for the Jewish people. Because each of these places are places where a miracle was performed on behalf of the people. That's nice. That's a nice one. Sforno, 16th century Italian, suggests that this text, in fact, was a way of affirming Israel's piety throughout the wandering and their commitment to God. That even when the people were at their most rebellious, with the golden calf, with Korach's rebellion, etc., they continued to follow God throughout the 40 years, and they never turned back. Okay, why not? The Shnei Luchot HaBrit, which is a Musar text, an ethical commentary, doesn't try to answer the question at all, and just says that journeys are, in fact, opportunities for self-growth and discovery, especially if they lead us to learn Torah. It is a chance for us to be Abrahamic or Saraic. that our journey becomes like our ancestors' travels, a kind of mitzvah, a kind of sacred obligation, an opportunity to fulfill God's expectation for us. Shai Held, who I mentioned earlier, has another suggestion that I happen to like very much. That by bringing up all of these different, seemingly mundane stops along the way, that even in our own lives, when things seem mundane or even meaningless, our encounters, our walk through life, the things we do, that in fact each of those, each experience we have is an opportunity to serve the divine and to fulfill mitzvot. And by mitzvot, I could be meaning ritual stuff, but I also mean mitzvot, the obligations we have to each other as human beings. Rabbi Held goes on that often we focus on, in our lives, some particular idea as being the necessary focus. That our studies or our career or our family is the most important thing in life, and everything else is a distraction, taking us away from that which is of real value. But in fact, this text might be suggesting that everything we do is of real value. That the chance encounter maybe isn't such a chance encounter after all. We see this when we literally travel. I know it's been a long time since any of us have traveled. But let's run with it for a moment. Many of us have found that the seemingly coincidental encounter with a stranger or running into somebody in the middle of the street, an old friend in the middle of the street, or encountering somebody at a rest area or in the airport along the way, that those moments could be mundane, but they are just as likely to be transformative. They're just as likely to move us in some way, shape, or form, or move the other person. That we get to be just the right person in the right moment, in the right place, at the right time. And I think we've all had that experience. And I think we've also had those experiences when we haven't literally traveled, but when we've just gone about our day. No matter how mundane our experience might be, we don't know how we're impacting the other person we encounter. As Rabbi Held writes, Numbers 33 lists 42 places, some of them seemingly imminently forgettable, to teach a subtle but critical lesson. We can know God and serve God at every step along the way. Or if we would like to understand this a little differently, if every encounter is forgettable and mundane, whose fault is that? Did we miss an opportunity to be present for someone, to fulfill a mitzvah for someone, to serve and support the other in some way, shape, or form? Did we center ourselves in the moment? Or did we center the other? Or did we center God? And I would argue that centering God and centering the other is the same thing. And Maimonides would agree with me. We can talk about that later. As we read this text, and as we have our mundane encounters, may we be reminded to see that in fact there is sacred in each and every single one of those moments, and the opportunity to be truly present. May this be so. Again, Numbers chapter 33, beginning with verse 1, page 119. And what I've been doing I don't know if Cantor did this last week with Kabbalat Shabbat, but what I've been doing for the Aliyah since we started being back in the sanctuary is I've been inviting people who are back in the sanctuary again for the first time. Some of you for the first time ever, and some of you for the first time since March of 2020, since COVID-19 was a thing, inviting you to participate in the Aliyah, inviting you to share in the Torah blessings. So if that describes you, if this is your first time back in the sanctuary in a while or ever, I'm going to invite you to rise at your place. Or if you feel comfortable coming on up, you can come on up for the Aliyah. If it's your first time back in, yeah, Alan, you can come on up. There's at least one person in the sanctuary who's going, please don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't see me. So, Alan, you're going to stay at your place? That's great. So to join in the blessing, and then we'll go ahead in our reading. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu Et Torto. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen. You can be seated. Again, page 119, verse 1. Ela Maseh B'nei Yisrael Asher Yetz'u Me'eretz Mitzrayim Litzvotam Biyad Moshe V'Aharon. These are the journeys of the Israelites who went forth out of the land of Egypt and were let go, were set free by the hand of Moses and Aaron. V'chtov Moshe et motzehem lema'asehem al pi Adonai. And these are the journeys that Moses wrote down in each of their excursions, al pi Adonai, at God's command. Ve'ele masehem le'motzaehem. And these are they. V'yisu me'ramses bechodesh harishon b'chamisha asar yom lachodesh harishon memocharat ha'pesach. Yetz'u b'nei Yisrael biyad rama le'enei kol Mitzrayim. On the first month, in the 15th day of the first month, they set forth from the city of Ramses. That would be the Passover, the Pesach. The Israelites went free with a mighty hand in the sight of all of Egypt. Mitzrayim mekarbim et asher hika Adonai bahem kol bachor. And Egypt was busy burying all of the firstborn in Egypt that God had struck down. Uva Elohehem asa Adonai shvatim, as well as the judgment that God had wrought over the gods of Egypt. And if we can have our aliyah come back on up to do the blessing after. Alan, you're on for, yeah. Oh, you're looking for it. Okay. You want the sheet? Oh, I'll give you the thing. Or you'll just come up here and do the thing here. That's all right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet mekayim natan b'tokeinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And since you're here, just since you're here, I'm going to give you this thing. And you're going to help me with that too. We rise for Hagbah and Glilah, the lifting up and the dressing of our Sefer Torah, and we'll remain standing as we put it back in the ark.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. Oh, pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kodesh, Kodesh Yameinu Kodesh Yameinu Kekedem.
And we'll remain standing for Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, l'ateiv gdula liotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We can be seated and we'll continue on page 294. Page 294. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. God gives, God takes away. Blessed be the name of God. If you are in the first 30 days of your mourning, wherever you are, I invite you to rise at this time. And if you are in the first year of your mourning, I invite you to rise. And if on this Shabbat you observe a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a loved one's passing, I invite you to rise at this time. And if it is your custom to rise to remember those whom only you can remember, the martyrs of our people, those who have died from injustice, those who have died sanctifying the divine name, I invite you to do so as we join together on page 294 in Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah B'alma Divrach Hirtei V'yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala V'isman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yet hadar, v'yet alev, v'yet halal, shemed kudisha bariachu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died in this season and years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We remember Peter Idston, Millicent Herman, Richard Glazier, Joseph M. Barsky, Jane Binder, Carol Fischel, Eleanor Goldbaum, Leonard A. Hershen, Minnie Jacoby, Carolyn Kane, Dr. Harold J. Lansing, Edna Millamad, Eleanor Migliori, Iris Pulse, Jacqueline Presley, Max Rubin, Harry Rubenstein, Sally Shadman, James Timoney, Saul Tumarkin, Eleanor Weiss, Arthur Wolk, Jerome Zabak. And I would ask if you have a name to add, if you are online, share that name on YouTube, on Facebook. If you have a name to add here in the sanctuary, feel free to do so. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing as we say, Amen. You can be seated. Torah study tomorrow at 9:30 over Zoom, as we've been doing. Hope to see you there. At the conclusion of this service, those of us who are not physically present will have a chance to hop on Zoom for a zoneg, just a chance to wish each other Shabbat Shalom and connect with one another. Of course, those of us in the sanctuary can do that right here. And hopefully we'll be seeing more and more of you in the sanctuary, including for our high holidays. If you have not yet filled out your high holidays survey telling us which service you are going to, and filled out all the other paperwork, the waiver and the health check and the vaccination form, and submitted a picture of yourself in a panda outfit and favorite 10 baseball players and their positions, all the paperwork we're asking you to fill out. So it doesn't have to be baseball. You can fill out all of your favorite defensive linemen from whichever football team you like. That's okay too. But if you could fill all that out so that we can welcome you at the high holidays and even before that with open arms, and we can all be excited to be together again, which I know we are. Lots going on. If you take a look in our weekly email in the Orbit, and hope you will find a way to plug into all that there is. With that, we're going to conclude our service as we join in singing Hava Neshira on page 339. Page 339.
Shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah. Hava nashira, 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 shir hallelujah. Hava nashira, shir hallelujah. Hava nashira, shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.